Hello everyone, before moving to today's newspaper discussion, I would like to announce an important course, the Guided PCM Course 2025, Prelims and Mains Coaching. So the course includes the recorded classes for all general study subjects, experienced faculty guidance, self-learning mode, this is on a highly self-learning mode, and exclusive current affairs sessions, psychological well-being sessions, and expert sessions by civil service officers. And you will have goal setting sessions to fix your goals and work towards it. CSAT classes will be there for people who are actually taking a one-year program. Then prelims analysis sessions will be there, and mains and analysis sessions will be there. And all these three things will be available for people who are only taking one-year program. So why? Because I'm saying one-year program, you are having access to 6 months and you're also having access to 1 year. The fee is actually different for both these programs. So this program or this course is actually ideal for students, working professionals, and passionate IAS aspirants. So don't wait, please register for the program. So how do you register for the program? One way, you can download the application, IPM IAS application, and directly register for the program. The other way, we advise you to take the second way, that is the scholarship test. So you need to go through a scholarship test, and the scholarship test link is there in the description. And once you take the scholarship test, based on your marks, you will get some reduction in your course fee. So don't wait, please go check the description, click on the link, and then take the scholarship test. So let's discuss today's daily news highlights. Today is 27th of July 2024. So let's see what are the important news. The Supreme Court will examine if governor's actions subvert federalism. So here we would like to understand about what is federalism, what is the federal structure in India, how the lawmaking process is happening, and also how the governor's actions are actually going against the federal structure in our country. Then royal burial mounds of Assam now on UNESCO World Heritage List. So here we will understand about what is UNESCO World Heritage List and what is this royal burial mound of Assam. Using children's personal data legally and securely. This article is mainly discussing about the right to privacy, especially connected with the children, and some of the acts which are actually passed by the parliament, and certain policies adopted by the government, and some of the judgments made by the Supreme Court in relation with the right to privacy and sharing of our privacy details. Then fiscal federalism. Fiscal federalism is about how the revenue sharing is actually happening, how the taxation methods are actually happening in our country, and it is based on a recent Supreme Court judgment based on the minerals and mines in our country. A new push in the Bay of Bengal. So this article is mainly about the BIMSTEC and how India and the BIMSTEC members are getting benefited out of it, and we will study in detail about what is BIMSTEC and what is the present scenario in connection with the BIMSTEC and its members. Then Sri Lanka's presidential polls to be held on September 21. So after the economic crisis in Sri Lanka, they are going to face the presidential election, and we will try to understand about the details regarding that. And 4th century Gata Monastery put on endangered site list. So here we will address the Palestine-Israel crisis, and in that context we will also try to understand about the Gata Monastery, which was actually put in the endangered site list of the UNESCO. Now let us move into the details of each. The first news is SC will examine if governor's actions subvert federalism. So SC here means Supreme Court. So this news is actually coming in page number 1, General Studies 2, and it's a part of Indian polity. So if you look at the news that we have for the last 1 week, every day you will have one news related to Supreme Court. Okay, so that is the importance of Supreme Court in this examination. The court's decision comes on a petition by Kerala over governors sitting on crucial bills and eventually referring them to the president. The Supreme Court on Friday agreed to examine if governors, by indefinitely sitting on crucial bills, only to eventually refer them to the president, who solely acts on the advice of the center, are opening the doors for union interference in the legislative domain of the states, thereby subverting federalism. So we know that we are following a quasi-federal model in our country, and in this model our states are having our own legislative rights. So we have a legislative procedure to make in our state legislative assemblies, and the same thing is there in the parliament also. So whatever legislations are actually happening in the state, the governor is the final authority to sanction it as an act. Okay, so here the governor is having certain privileges to send it for the president's approval. The actions of the governor subvert the delicate balance envisaged by the constitution between the three organs of state by rendering the functioning of the elected executive, which has drafted and introduced the bills, and then the state legislature, which has passed the bills, wholly ineffective and otiose. Then the actions of the governor also subvert the federal structure of the constitution by reserving for the president, and the president is actually acting on the advice or the aid and advice of the union cabinet, and these bills which are wholly within the domain of the state under the constitution. The actions of the governor also subvert the federal structure of the constitution by reserving for the president bills which are wholly within the domain of the state under the constitution. So here the president is acting on the aid and advice of the union cabinet. So that is the problem here. That is the only one which actually threatened the federal nature of our country. This is a sad state of affairs. The Supreme Court should step in and tell the governor when they can refuse bills and when they can refer them to the president. Otherwise, the constitution is being rendered otiose. Okay, so this is the crucial point they are actually addressing. The governor is sending the bills for president's approval. Sometimes the governor is actually delaying that process also, which is affecting the welfare the legislation can bring in the state. So it is mainly based on the center-state relations and the legislative process in our country. So read this article, try to understand about the legislative process in state, the legislative process in the parliament, and also the governor's privileges for sending the bills for president's approval. Read about it, try to understand about it. Royal burial mounds of Assam now on UNESCO World Heritage. The royal burial is right now in the UNESCO's World Heritage Site. The Sharado Moidams, a 700-year-old mound burial system of the Ahom dynasty from Assam, were added to the UNESCO World Heritage List on Friday, making them the 43rd property from India to be included in the prestigious index. The announcement was made at the 46th session of the World Heritage Committee being held in Delhi. Similar to the pyramids of Egypt, the Moidams are the earthen burial mounds of the members of the Ahom royalty whose 600-year-old rule was ended by the British takeover of the region. The Ahoms adopted the Hindu method of cremation after 18th century and began entombing the cremated bones and ashes in Moidams and Sharado. The Moidams are the first from the northeastern states to be recognized as the World Heritage Site in the cultural category. Assam has two other such sites in the natural category, that is Kaziranga National Park and Manas National Park, both upgraded to tiger reserves. So this is the first one from the northeastern region to be there in the UNESCO World Heritage Site in the cultural aspect. Okay, and we already have in the natural aspect, we already have two national parks, the Kaziranga National Park and the Manas National Park. So read this article, try to understand about the UNESCO World Heritage List. Understand about the other major sites which were actually added to the UNESCO World Heritage List, and maybe in the last 2-3 years. So read this article, try to have an idea about what is this UNESCO World Heritage List, and also the Royal Burial Mounds of Assam. Try to read about it. The history of it will be important for you. So this is actually coming in page number 5, General Studies 1, and it's a part of history and it's a part of art and culture also. Using children's personal data legally and securely. So this news is a part of Indian polity, and it is actually coming in General Studies 2 and page number 6. Okay, in the editorial page you can see that. So we know that privacy, the right to privacy, is a very important element in our constitution, especially in the fundamental rights. So here we are talking about the right to privacy of the children. The Indian school education system is one of the most expansive ecosystems in the world, composed of approximately 15 lakh schools, 97 lakh teachers, and nearly 26.5 crore students enrolled from the pre-primary to higher secondary levels. It boasts of the stakeholders from varied socio-economic background. Okay, so that is the vastness of our school education system. That many people are actually involved in this particular process. Around 26.5 crore students are enrolled in our education system. To realize its objective, of managing the wide-ranging education system in India in a sound manner, the Ministry of Education conceived the UDISC Plus platform in 2018. So what is this UDISC platform? UDISC Plus is one of the largest management information systems initiated by the Department of School Education and Literacy, Ministry of Education. It plays a crucial role in collecting and exchanging real-time information on school infrastructure, teachers, student enrollments and academic performances. So almost all the data related to the school and the students are there in the UDISC Plus platform. This allows the ministry to curate outcome-based policies to enhance the quality of education in India. By improving the process of resource allocation and the monitoring of educational programs, UDISC Plus is also notably utilized to map educational trends. The objective of strengthening administration and optimizing the service delivery is charted out as an ultimate goal of this exercise. So UDISC Plus you need to understand, because that is one of the largest management systems in the working in the school level, because it collects all the details. It collects the details regarding the students, teachers, schools, etc. In terms of the National Education Policy 2020, the ministry also introduced Automated Permanent Academic Account Registry Identification, also known as APAAR. This serves as a unique identifier of a given student. This facilitates the collation of academic credentials of the students at one place. So this article is mainly discussing about the data security related to the children. So already the data related to children is actually collected in these platforms, and sometimes there are chances where these data can be shared to other third-party entities. So how do you control this? What are the legislative mechanisms involved in controlling this or protecting this data? That is what is discussed in this article. So here they are discussing about the education ministry, which actually come up with a data sharing policy for school education and literacy in 2020, but that policy need to be updated. That is what the status. However, this is yet to be updated to reflect the regulatory overhauls post the enactment of the Digital Personal Data Protection DPDP Act 2023. In the absence of clear regulations or minimum standards, their compliance with the act comes under question. So we have policies in place, but it is not updated. That is the challenge here. So another important area is related to the three-part test, where Supreme Court recognized the right to privacy as a fundamental right and laid down three-part test. Okay, the Supreme Court has laid down three-part test against which state action must be adjudged. This test is deployed to assess the impact of state action on the right to privacy of citizens. The three conditions stipulated under the test are: there exists a legitimate state interest in restricting the right. Such restriction is necessary and proportionate to achieve the interest. The restriction is imposed or affected by law. So this is the three-part test actually laid down by the Supreme Court regarding the collection of data of the citizens. Aadhaar integration in APAAR and UDISC Plus must comply with these three prongs. So we have policies in place which are developed by the ministry, and we also have the policies or the initiatives taken by the Supreme Court in place. So we need to we should make sure that this is actually working in alignment with these policies and the advice of the Supreme Court. And towards the end of this article, they are also mentioning about the need for specific protocols in this particular matter. So read this article. So while reading this article, you have to do a small research on 2-3 aspects. One is UDISC Plus. Okay, you need to have an idea about UDISC Plus. Then also you should know about the Automated Permanent Academic Account Registry Identification, also known as APAAR. Then you need to have an idea about the Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023. Then check about the three-part test which was actually laid down by the Supreme Court and how is it actually functioning here. And then also understand about the DigiLocker. Okay, these are all aspects which are connected with the data privacy of children in school. So this is coming in the Indian polity aspect. Mainly this is the topic coming under the fundamental rights, especially the right to privacy, which is coming under Article 21 of the Constitution. Fiscal federalism. The ruling on taxing mineral rights opens up resource avenue for states. Yesterday we discussed about this article. So there was a ruling by the Supreme Court. And it is not often that the fiscal federalism finds a prominent place in the judicial discourse. The Supreme Court judgment holding by an overwhelming majority of 8:1 that the states can tax mineral rights and mineral bearing lands is a truly landmark ruling. So yesterday only this actually came. It became a discussion points in various newspapers yesterday itself. So this act needs to be understood first. Okay, try to read about that article, because yesterday we already discussed about that article. That's why I'm not going into the details of it. So here you can see that the proponents of fiscal federalism and autonomy will particularly welcome the fact that the judgment opens up a significant new taxation avenue for the states, and the observation that any dilution of the taxation powers of the states would adversely affect their ability to deliver welfare schemes and services to the people. So for this point they also have an opposing point also. However, Justice B.V. Nagaratna in her dissent argues that if a court did not recognize the central law as a limitation on the state's taxation powers, it would have undesirable consequences, as states would enter into an unhealthy competition to derive additional revenue, resulting in an uneven and uncoordinated spike in the cost of minerals. So this is another important viewpoint regarding the restrictions for the taxation. Okay, so you need to look at it from both perspectives. So what is the perspective of the central government? What is the perspective with regard to the state government? So this you need to have an idea. So read this article, try to create your own perspective and opinion regarding this particular point, and also read about fiscal federalism. Already we had an article on the federalism. There we discussed about the center-state relations, especially the legislation aspect. Okay, so here we are mainly talking about the taxation aspect. Okay, the revenue collection. So read about this article and try to have a very good idea about the federalism in our country. This article is actually coming in page number 6, General Studies 2 and Indian Polity. A new push in the Bay of Bengal. India hosted the second BIMSTEC Foreign Ministers Retreat in New Delhi earlier this month, with a focus on providing an informal platform to discuss various ways and means of cooperating and accelerating action in security, connectivity, trade and investment within the Bay of Bengal. So here they are discussing about BIMSTEC. So what do you mean by this BIMSTEC? BIMSTEC is Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation. So the foreign ministers met there and they have took a very important decision on the cooperation between these states. So they are also expected to sign the BIMSTEC agreement on maritime transport cooperation to improve regional connectivity, a foundational aim of this grouping. So the main aim is these states who are actually coming in the Bay of Bengal region, they should have that connectivity. Okay, so that is what they are going to sign, this agreement, that is the for maritime transport cooperation. The initiative will definitely improve India's relation with the eastern neighbors. So as we all know, in the BIMSTEC we can see 5 South Asian countries and 2 Southeast Asian countries, and these Southeast Asian countries are actually our entry to the Indo-Pacific and also to the ASEAN, to influence the ASEAN countries. Okay, here the 2 important countries are Thailand and Myanmar. So if we are having a very good cordial relation with these countries, our entry to this Pacific will be easy. That will also help us to counter any kind of the strategic movement by China in the Indian Ocean region and also in the Bay of Bengal region. The Bay of Bengal initiative will definitely have its own advantages in various fields. For all these nations, like if you take agriculture, if you take the industry, if you take the healthcare sector, if you take the fishing, in all these areas, then the security, trade, in all these areas, all these countries can be benefited if they have very cordial relation between each other. And that was actually raised by India, Thailand, Sri Lanka, Bhutan, and other countries in the session itself. Okay, and they were also trying to address what are the upcoming engagement areas for them, what are the topics or what are the areas they need to be focusing on in the upcoming sessions. All those points were discussed in the BIMSTEC forum. As BIMSTEC is a multilateral entity, India tried to improve our bilateral relations with many of these countries, because we were having direct conversations with the authorities of all these countries, so that we can improve our bilateral relations with these nations also. So BIMSTEC is a highly strategic organization in the present scenario, where the South Asian countries and the Southeast Asian countries are coming together, which opens up a huge opportunity for all the countries. So this article is actually coming in page number 6, General Studies 2, International Relations. So read this article, try to have an idea about what is BIMSTEC, try to have an idea about ASEAN, what are the member countries of BIMSTEC and ASEAN, and how BIMSTEC can actually help India in developing our relationship with other countries, and what are our opportunities in the Pacific region and also in the Indian Ocean region, and how can BIMSTEC act as a catalyst for this development. All these points you need to read, and you need to frame your own perspective regarding this particular association. So here in this area we can find the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, the BIMSTEC, then also this ASEAN. So how these three things are actually connected. So read about all these organization and how it is actually benefiting India in our bilateral relations and multilateral relations with other countries. Sri Lanka presidential polls to be held on September 21. So after the economic crisis which happened 2 years before, they are going to witness an important election, and try to understand about this election, and also try to do a small research about what were the main problems happening before 2 years, the economic crisis that they were actually going on, try to have an idea about it, and also how Sri Lanka is important for us. So we know that Sri Lanka is our neighboring country and it is important also, but how it is actually important for us, and what were India's engagement during that time when they were actually facing the crisis, and what was the fund transfer, or what was the support given by International Monetary Fund for Sri Lanka to revive its economy. All these points you need to have an idea. On the other hand, you can also read about this article and try to understand about the present situation, who are all going to contest in the election, and which are the major parties. All those things you can have an idea. So this particular article is actually coming in page number 12, General Studies 2, International Relations. Another important article is related with the 4th century Gata Monastery put on endangered site list. The Saint Hilarion complex, one of the oldest monasteries in the West Asia, has been put on the UNESCO list of World Heritage Sites in danger due to the war in Gaza, the body said on Friday. UNESCO said that the site, which dates back to the 4th century, had been put on the endangered list at the demand of Palestinian authorities, and cited the imminent threats it faced. So it is the only recourse to protect the site from the destruction in the current context. Okay, so this is important news. Why? Because they are actually putting it in the UNESCO's list of World Heritage Sites. So we already discussed about one from India in today's article. So this is another from the West Asia. Why? Because the West Asia is going through a lot of crisis and turmoil, where the Palestine-Israel crisis is going on, and everywhere it is complete chaos and destruction. So in that context, it is very important and pertinent to protect these kinds of archaeological sites or monuments. So that is the reason why they are actually putting it in the endangered list. Okay, so these are the important articles for today's discussion. So please go back and read this article, make your own notes regarding this article, because that will make your answer a little bit better. And because we know that the only thing that you need to understand as a civil service aspirant is, you are not the only one preparing for this examination. There are lakhs of students who are preparing for this examination. So what changes you can bring in your preparation while reading newspaper? What changes you can bring in? How can you take most advantage of whatever you are reading from the article? How can you do simple researches based on your article? All these things makes the difference in your preparation. So make sure that you are not following the same way others are actually doing. The main thing that you need to focus is whether the news is having some kind of connection with the static syllabus. If it is having a connection with the static syllabus or some of the topics which are mentioned in the static syllabus, try to understand about all those topics. Okay, so that will improve, that will act as a revision for you, and that will improve your comprehensive understanding regarding that particular topic. So this is the way you should learn. Okay, so I hope this session was useful for you. So please like and share this video to your friends, and make sure that you subscribe the channel. If you have not subscribed this channel, please subscribe the channel, because you will continue to get more inputs regarding the civil services preparation. Thank you.